At Manhattan University, a graduate degree is not out of reach. You'll gain real-world skills, credentials employers value, and connections to New York City's top companies. Choose from their new Master of Science degrees in healthcare informatics, digital marketing and analytics, business analytics, or financial analytics, all built around hands-on learning and industry partnerships. Graduate ready to lead, not just work. Take the next step at manhattan.edu/graduate. Manhattan University. Lead the future.
Sid and Friends in the morning.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Getting tweets from Grand Rapids, from Minneapolis, all over the country. They love Sid and Friends in the morning. We're not syndicated yet, but we are, because if you've got the iPhone, you just download the 77 WABC app and you can listen. I've got listeners right now in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. I told you the story when I did the one-year anniversary show, October 7th, 2024, from Sderot, this nice little town right by Gaza. They destroyed the place. They burned down the police station. They killed all the cops. They raped and murdered all the people. I'm about to do my radio show. I hear this huge explosion. This young lady named Gatit Botera, Israeli, lived in Sderot, still does. She grabs me, Seed, she calls me, S-E-E-D, Seed. Grabs me by the arm, she's crying, drags me into a bomb shelter. Turned out we were okay. But she has kept in touch with me ever since. She's on my WhatsApp. She's been sending me videos, which Fox News and Trey Yingst, I think, used. Because she gets these videos before even the television stations do. I had the Tel Aviv bombing before anybody on Saturday, the Bet Shemesh in Jerusalem on Sunday, and now she just sent me Petah Tikva in the north in Israel at 5:14 a.m. this morning. They also received an incoming missile. So thank you to Gatit Botera for continuing to update me on all that's going on in Israel. But that's the reach of this show. We're everywhere. And I've got a young lady in studio. She's one of my girls. You guys know I've got Siggy and Michelle Lubin, Terrace, and Stella. Those are my big three. There's a lot of others, but that's my big three. Siggy, Stella, Michelle. And Stella is a hugely successful OAN television host out in California. But everybody knows who she is. She spent the day yesterday with Melania Trump. The president loves her, too. She's in New York quite a bit. And I think if you go to her page, Stella Escobedo, you're going to see a video that's going viral now. She paid a lot of money for a hotel room in New York City to walk outside and see junkies and dirt and garbage. She made the point about sanitation. She lives in California. That's the biggest dump. I'm sorry, it's gorgeous. I love parts of California. I would move to Carmel tomorrow. But she lives in California. She's complaining about New York. So here she is, a very talented Stella Escobedo. Good morning, Stella.
Good morning, Sid. Oh, you know what? You're so right. First of all, thank you for having me on your number one show. Love you.
Please,
everybody
you.
loves
I love
Sid.
you too.
Everybody loves Sid.
You had me on your show first. I enjoyed doing that. It's a couple of years. I got to go back on it, but your show is great too. So thank you.
So I just, my friend Jackie Toborov, who lives here in the city.
Oh, we love Jackie Toborov. She's on the show all the time.
Yeah, and so she's always talking about the trash and all this stuff, and she lives in a nice neighborhood. So I come into New York City. I'm staying at a nice hotel, paying a couple $100 a night, going to a nice restaurant, and I see trash everywhere. And then finally, it's like, 8 o'clock at night, and I see sanitation workers. And I'm like, well, you're finally picking up the trash. And the guy couldn't have been nicer. And he said,
oh, it's not their fault.
It's not. And I said, thank you for doing, your job. And then he says, oh, well, ask Mondami.
That's what he said?
He said, and I said, wait. What
a lot of those guys
say?
Don't have the balls to say that.
What did you just say? And I put it up, and I don't want him to get in trouble. He's just being honest. Look.
Oh, so that's on the video?
It's on the video.
Hey,
yeah.
now.
He says, ask Mandami. And he said, look, it's been a mess since the snow, and he's like, I'm really sorry that you're having to deal with this. And I'm like, look, it's not your fault.
Yeah.
I get it, but it's everywhere. And it's hard to say when you're coming from California. So I put out the video. I'm like, guys, is this normal? Everyone's like, no, this is not normal.
Who said it's not normal?
I was asking people in New York City,
normal. No, it's normal.
No, I'm saying is this how it used to be always?
No, not always, but it's been starting with Bill de Blasio, who called me out on Twitter last night, into Eric, into this guy. It's really been now 13 years where this city has not run right. And again, you're from California. I keep hearing about Gavin Newsom. And then I think he may have made the fatal error, your governor in California, in Atlanta a couple of weeks ago, when he kind of described himself as dumb and stupid. And in doing that, compared himself to black people. He said that was about as racist as you can get, right?
I mean, that's just on par with Gavin Newsom. I mean, look at the fraud that's happening in the state of California. It's like, we're wasting millions of dollars a day. We've got zombies on our streets. I can't take my kids to certain areas of San Diego, downtown, because they're scared. They're literally, my oldest daughter is literally like,
wait a
Mommy,
second, San Diego's a nice town.
Yeah, go to downtown San Diego. Over the last couple of years, it's like zombies.
Come on.
I'm not
You mean
kidding
down
you.
by the gas lamp?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Nice areas, and it's really scary because, it's not just people who are like, down on their luck. They literally are zombies. You've seen those videos.
No, I know. And then to make it worse, you had those awful Palisades fires.
Yes.
About a year and 3 months now. And I think you lost about 1,700 homes. The number that I heard that were rebuilt over a year with 10. That's unbelievable, 10. I got buddies like Ross Levinson, their house burned to the ground. California's done nothing for them. Now, President Trump said enough of this. He sent Lee Zeldin out to your state, California, to try to get all these permits to start rebuilding. But your governor and Karen Bass, people keep telling me that there's a whole cover-up going on because the Olympics are coming to Los Angeles, and they want to use some of that area for housing to make sure the transportation is easy from Olympic Village. So they're saying, screw the rich people. So what? They lost their homes. We're going to take this area, do nothing with it, and use it for ourselves. What's the truth about what's going on in that Palisades area?
The truth is somewhere in between. Okay, so we've got the mayor's race there, and that's prime real estate.
Karen Bass?
Karen Bass is running. Oh, by the way, there's also a DSA. They call her Mandami 2.0. She's running for mayor. Her name is Nithya Raman. She's also, people are watching her. By the way, DSA growing, by the numbers. They have 100,000 members. But, LA, that area is prime real estate. And when you think about what happened there and what they did, how many people did those people who lived in those homes employ? Okay, the gardeners, the housekeepers. There are so many more people out of jobs now because, by the way, the Santa Ana winds, that's something common in California. People know it's not like one of those things where, oh my gosh, it surprises you. There were plenty of warnings. I mean,
weeks.
I've lived in California basically my whole life, covered media, work there.
Right.
Yeah, they knew this was going to happen.
And they still had no water in the hydrants. It made no sense. And listen, I could, I'm a free agent, but I'm hoping that I re-sign here. I love it here. I love John and Margot and Chad. I love them. But you never know. And the truth is, there's a lot of places that would like to have me in beautiful states. I don't want to leave. People go, what do you mean you don't want to leave? Look at New York. It's a mess. I said, I can't leave because I got to fight. There's a lot of people that talk a lot in this city and state, and they tweet a lot. They're not real fighters. Mm-hmm. And maybe I'm giving myself too much credit, but I consider myself a real fighter.
No, you are.
Thank you. So I can't leave because I still love this city and this state, at least not yet. Is that how you feel about California?
So it's funny, as you're saying that, you literally, you sound just like me. People always say, well, it's your fault because you live in California. Well, that's my home. I grew up there. And if all of us leave and none of us fight for the state, then what's going on? There's more of us than you think. We're fighting for the state every day. This is not the California I know, not the California that I grew up in. So same goes for you. And by the way, anybody who gets Sid is very, very lucky. Anybody, I mean, and thank you for fighting for New Yorkers because, there aren't many voices and there aren't many brave people like yourself who can go on social media, who can say what a lot of people. It's almost like Donald Trump. You remind me a lot of him. Yeah. You say things that are
I hear that. They call me the Donald Trump of New York these days.
There you go. But somebody's got to do it, Sid.
Yeah.
And you get a lot of heat for it, but somebody's got to do it.
Well, you do the same thing out in California. So all the nice things you're saying about me, they apply to you, too. This is the great Stella Escobedo. Watch her show every afternoon on OAN. You mentioned Trump. You had the opportunity yesterday to spend the day with his lovely wife. She was on the show about 2 weeks ago when her documentary was a big deal.
Yes,
Melania, she addressed a UN Security Council hearing yesterday. Tell me what that was like.
Okay, so by the way, I don't know if people understand. First of all, it's a historic day. It's not the first time that a first lady addressed the United Nations, but it's the way that it works, and I try to explain to people. So they're rotating, they're members, right? And every month they rotate. So March is the United States month. And so she led the council meaning, like a city council meeting, you lead, so basically she was the first lady to do that. And then on top of that, she presented a speech on education, strength through education.
A lot of AI in that speech. I heard that.
But also about just what it means to have a nation of educated children. And then to me, the first thing that came to mind was Gaza. Look at the indoctrination that's happening in Gaza. When you indoctrinate children to hate your neighbors, like the Jewish people, they grow up thinking that the land of Israel is their land, and they want to blow themselves up for that. So that's the indoctrination she's talking about. Look at Iran. Okay, under the Islamic Republic of Iran, they chant death to America, death to Israel. And you know what, Sid? Why don't we just look at America? Look at what's happening on our college campuses. The indoctrination that's been happening for years. And KGB defector Yuri Bezmenov once said, it's a very, very popular conversation. He said, it's been viral all over the internet. He says, you don't have to take out a nation through bombs. You just go through the education.
That's
and
true.
Look at what's happening.
It's true.
I mean, we have young people who are in favor of Hamas, in favor of the Ayatollahs.
Well,
did you ever think we'd be here?
But you know who's to blame for all of this? Democrats.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Democrats. These pro-Hamas people, these animals that run the streets in New York and your state, California, tearing down UCLA, they're not Republicans. They're not Trump supporters. They're Democrats. Who's angry? Who's angry that we killed Khomeini, a murderer? Democrats. Who's angry that we put Maduro, a drug-dealing thug, in jail? Democrats. Every good thing that's happened in this country over the last couple of years, the Democrats, and most of them agree with it, trust me, but they're pussies. So they don't want to lose their primaries. They don't want to lose Mamdani's trust. So they say things in public they don't really mean. The Democrats are to blame for all of that.
Well, how could you be mad? How could you be mad at the president of the United States for taking out the Ayatollah and his gangsters?
Because he promised Americans no new wars.
Okay.
3 people died. No, I'm being sarcastic.
Yeah.
The truth is, this is not a new war. This is a war that they started 47 years ago, killed thousands and thousands and thousands of Americans. Forget about Israelis. Forget about Jews. Thousands. Beirut alone. So you know what? Trump said 47 years. It's time for somebody to finish this war that they started. I'm doing it.
Right. So again, these people are for human rights. The Islamic regime massacred like 30,000 people. Okay, let's talk about 1979 when the Ayatollah came into power. They showed us exactly who they were. They held the U.S. embassy hostage for 444 days. They showed us exactly who they are. America First is standing up for those service members, finally getting justice for who were bombed in Beirut. What about the roadside bombs that we saw in Afghanistan and all these other countries? Where did those come from? Those were funded by the Islamic regime. And we saw, Sid, what happened the day that Israel and the United States started bombing the Islamic Republic of Iran. I want to make sure I always say that because it's not Iran that people know. What did they do? They started launching bombs into the Middle East. Imagine if they had the capacity to take out America, which they want to. This is why President Trump said, you will never have a nuclear weapon, because if they could take us out and wipe us out, I mean, what do you think they mean when they say death to America? They're just saying it for fun?
Yeah, and it's the ballistic missiles, too, that are doing an incredible amount of damage as we speak to other places, the Gulf Coast nations and Israel. So in the final 60 seconds, BB was on with my friend Sean Hannity, was on the show last night, and he was terrific. And, the anti-Semites, the Tucker Carlsons, God, I'm sick of him. I really am. The Tuckers and, Megan, I hate to say it, Megan, come on, man.
She's on board now.
She's on board. I'm very disappointed in her. I'm done with her. Candace, all these people. They say this is not an American war. Tucker Carlson actually said to Megyn Kelly last week, he said, this is not about Iran's nuclear capabilities. This is about Israel's ambitions.
To do what?
To take over the whole Middle East.
Okay.
And that's what he said to Mike Huckabee as well. So all these anti-Semites out there are making this about Israel. So Hannity said to BB last night, he said, a lot of folks think that you're dragging Trump into war. And BB said, he started laughing. He said, I'm dragging Trump? Like, President Trump. No one's dragging him.
First of all, no one can tell President Trump what to do, okay? President Trump is America First, and America First is protecting Americans. And just like Pete Hegseth said, This is a death cult. The Islamic Republic of Iran is a death cult, and they started the war. We're finishing it. No other presidents have had the guts to do what he's done.
That's right.
Okay, and they're a danger. I mean, again, if they had a nuclear weapon, they would use it against us a couple days ago.
Here's a great text, too, because a lot of what Trump does above and beyond the national security that's most important is about money, Stella. We want money, you know? It's also for domestic stability, domestic financial stability and safety, making America more prosperous, gaining tech, gaining oil, gaining peace, gaining access to commerce globally without waterway is being obstructed or attacked, making sure supply chains run smoothly, which all helps boost our GDP. This person, of course, talking about Iran's capability of shutting down the Straits of Hormuz, which, you know, they may do for a little bit, but eventually they have no navy. We wiped out all 11 of their ships in Oman yesterday.
And we're not done.
But that's right. But this person's right, that the oil, the money, that all comes too. So I'm trying to figure out that, yes, we lost 3 service people, which is horrendous. 4. You never want to lose anybody, but that's war. Well, we didn't need this war. Says who? We needed this war, right?
Yes. Years from now, if they got a nuclear weapon, and then people always are saying something like this, like the Tuckers and stuff like that. Well, you know, we keep going after Iran, and every time we take out this and we take out that, and, you know, Israel says this, and you know, we keep fighting them. And it's like, well, here's the part they're not talking about. The Islamic Republic of Iran's nuclear ambitions never stopped. You take something out, they keep building.
That's right.
Their ambitions have always been to have this nuclear weapon and death to America. America is the big Satan. Israel is the little Satan.
That's it. So, Tucker, it's not about Israel's ambitions. It's about Iran's. It's great to see you.
Thank you.
You'll be back in New York. You're here all the time.
I'm here from here to D.C., you know, covering the news. And
then you go down to Florida to see Siggy.
Yeah, I'm going to go see Siggy in a couple weeks.
Awesome.
There you go.
And when are you going home to California? Tomorrow?
Today.
Oh, today?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
You got a flight? Everything's okay?
Everything's so far so good.
The DHS, that's a mess, too. We've got, who's coming on today? Jim Jordan coming on later to talk about that. Stella, you're beautiful, you're great, you're brilliant, your show is great, you're great. Thank you so much for stopping in this morning.
Thank you, Sid.
All right, that's the great Stella Escobedo. She's on 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock Eastern Time on OAN. She's a dear, dear friend of mine. Danielle loves her, too. You'll love her, too. Stella Escobedo, if you don't know her, on OAN. We'll take a break. Still to come, Bruce Blakeman, Bo Dietl, Jim Jordan, and Sarah Palin on this, the Tuesday edition of Sid and Friends in the morning, baby.
Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our nation has to offer, especially health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.